Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another installment of BrickWall Reviews. I'm Dave, and I'm back. I'm back in action, similar to how the Looney Tunes have been back in action lately. Not just for the movie I'm talking about, but lately they've been really back in action with Space Jam: A New Legacy, the new Looney Tunes cartoons. They got freaking a show coming on the Cartoonito preschool block on Cartoon Network in a couple of weeks. So Looney Tunes are honestly, in every sense of the word, back in action. We even got Coyote versus Acme, a theatrical film written by James Gunn, coming to theaters next year. So it's a really big time, not to mention all the TV movies coming around with the Looney Tunes. Come on, I can go on and on, but this is the prime time to be a Looney Tunes fan. But let's not forget that back in 2003, we tried to get them back in action. Warner Brothers tried to get them fully back in action. And back in action might have taken a while, but we're finally here in the renaissance of Looney Tunes. But before I get any further, before I jump into this review of Looney Tunes back in action, I want to remind you guys, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button down below. Thank you guys for all your support. I check my my analytics like almost every day, and I'm just so happy to see the turnout on my videos and the turnout on the channel. I really appreciate you guys. Help me continue to reach my 100 subscribers goal. That will mean the world to me. And continue to watch the videos, like them, and share. Again, that means the world to me. It keeps me motivated to come and do these videos all the time. It's more than a hobby. It's my bread and butter. Is what keeps me going. So thank you guys so much. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and jump and talk about this movie, Looney Tunes Back in Action. So literally nobody asked for this review. Why am I suddenly just sitting here talking about it? Well, for one, I do have a really big soft spot for this movie. I love this movie to death. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid growing up. I remember I went to the movies opening weekend to see it. I remember I bought the DVD. Ah, man, like I love this movie. I watched this movie all the time. Whenever it was on TV, I watched it. Whenever I could pop in my DVD, I watched it. It was almost an annual thing for me in a way. And it just recently, matter of fact, today is the last day that it is on HBO Max to stream. So if you have HBO Max and you have not seen Looney Tunes Back in Action, it should still be on there today. But if not, then it's gone until they decide to put it back. I don't know where else you could stream it. But I absolutely love this movie. It is, in my opinion, one of the best live action animated hybrids that exists. It's one of the best Looney Tunes movies. It's the best Looney Tunes movie to exist. And it's one of the funniest things I've seen ever. And some of the jokes still hold up today. But so a little background information about this film. For those of you who don't know, this film was released on November 14th of 2003. That's over a decade. Matter of fact, it's almost 20 years of this movie. Next year is going to be the 20th anniversary of this movie. Please, Warner Brothers, do something special for this movie. Don't forget about Space Jam. Space Jam ain't the only one that deserves the recognition. This one does too. Come on, I hope we get a 20th anniversary celebration for this movie just because it's so awesome, especially with the renaissance of Looney Tunes going on right now, right? So it's 93 minutes long, so it's like a little over an hour and a half. It's a really great movie. It stars on the human side, because of course we have our Looney cast of characters, but on the human side, it stars Brendan Fraser, Jenna Elfman, Timothy Dalton, Joanne Cusack, Bill Goldberg, the wrestler Goldberg. Yeah, remember how big he was back in the day, like in terms of like being a really popular wrestler. Heather Locklear, Steve Martin, and Joe Alasky does the voices of Bug, Daffy, and various other Looney Tunes characters. This movie it's directed by Joe Dante, who I believe directed the Gremlins movies, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, please don't kill me. But I'm like 1,000% sure he directed Gremlins. Yes, he directed the first Gremlins movie. I was right. So so this movie here, I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, so it's the history of this movie. Yeah, the history of this movie is very, very interesting. So after the monumental success of the first Space Jam movie, right? They, of course, the studio wanted to capitalize on it and make another movie. They were like, well, what can we do? They had so many different ideas, some of which I already know. Matter of fact, go check out 3C Films on YouTube. He has a video up about some of the scrapped Space Jam sequel ideas. One of them, I'm so mad that they didn't make because it would have been so awesome. I really hope they resurrect that idea. But this film was in some way one of the sequels to the movie. Matter of fact, it was originally going to be called Spy Jam to kind of follow after the whole Space Jam thing, because they wanted to do a sequel to that, something different. But of course, it ends up with a different name. Obviously things changed during production and things like that. Yeah, matter of fact, and this was actually supposed to star Jackie Chan at first when they were first doing the early iterations of this. But let me see. Because there's some other interesting information about this that I want to put out there. Let me see. Where is it? Can't find it. No, I can't find exactly what I'm looking for. I don't want to waste you guys' time. But yeah, no, this is a really great movie. Now, it's said though that this movie is completely different from what Joe Dante, the director, had originally wanted. I don't know too much about his original plans. Yeah, I don't know too much about his original plans. I do know that he originally wanted to be a lot more funnier, gag based, and things like that. But there's no, to my knowledge, there's no public information about what his actual plans were for his original vision of Looney Tunes Back in Action. But he stuck with it, and I'm glad that he did. I'm glad the product that we got. And if this is not what he envisioned, and it still turned out to me pretty damn good, I can only imagine what his actual vision would have been for this film if we would have ever gotten to see it. So that's really something that kind of sucks, but I'm still glad that we got what we got. So this movie here, it follows the classic feud between Bugs and Daffy. But what's happening here is we all know the Looney Tunes break the fourth wall constantly since inception. So inception, I don't know, I probably said the wrong word. But so what's happening is that Daffy wants to get more of the spotlight. He doesn't want to keep playing second banana to Bugs. So while he's at a meeting with the Warner Brothers company, with all the head honchos there, including the Warner Brothers themselves, he ends up getting fired. And when he gets fired, they try to find a replacement for Daffy. Can't find a replacement, so they tell Jenna Elfman's character, who is the one, she's the VP of comedy, and she's the one who fired Daffy, or ultimately ended up firing him. She ends up having to find Daffy again so that they can rehire him and get his job back and make the Warner Brothers happy, and so she doesn't lose her job. Brendan Fraser, he's a security guard that works at Warner Brothers. He wants to be a stuntman, but which is a really funny joke because they pretty much say that the character, his character's name is DJ. They say DJ was a stuntman for Brendan Fraser, and that he was in the Mummy movies more than Brendan Fraser was. So it's a really funny gag there. And so DJ, his dad is actually Damian Drake, who's played by Timothy Dalton. And so there's a whole spy plot that kicks off from there. DJ and Daffy are teamed up, and Jenna Elfman's character and Bugs are teamed up to try to find Daffy and DJ and get Daffy back to Warner Brothers so that they can continue making movies and short films and such. So, and I mean, that's just the basic rundown of the plot. I mean, it's really not any more complicated than that. This movie does have like pretty much all your favorite Looney Tunes characters do make appearances in here. From Yosemite Sam to Elmer Fudd to Sylvester and Tweety and Granny, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. I mean, you name them, they mostly, even Pepe Le Pew appears in this film, but this is way before he got canceled. So, I mean, hashtag bring back Pepe. Like, come on, there's things you can do with Pepe Le Pew that don't involve his old slapstick or his old shtick of being a rapist. I didn't mean to say that. YouTube algorithm don't ban me, but that's what we all saw, as the R word. So this movie here, why do I enjoy this movie, right? So this is, like I said, to me, this is like one of the most, this movie captures the spirit of the Looney Tunes more than I think Space Jam did. More definitely more than Space Jam: A New Legacy, and it kind of just falls in line with those classic shorts. This movie is where my love for Daffy as a character, as a Looney Tune, my love for Daffy was cemented with this movie. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Daffy. Um, and it's really cool because Daffy gets this really cool story arc throughout the movie from him, and you see how he just wants to be appreciated, right? He just wants people to love him. He just wants the credit that he deserves, and he does deserve that credit. I mean, without Daffy, we wouldn't have some of the most funniest Bugs Bunny skits out there. Bugs and Daffy teamed up are a dynamic duo, and so you kind of see how Daffy deals with that and handles that. Nothing too heavy, of course. It's not like a heavy character, in-depth character study. However, when I did watch it the other night, I kind of thought about a particular scene where Daffy kind of expressed himself and how he felt about things to Bugs. And I was like, that would have been an interesting moment for Bugs to kind of get a little bit of a character arc too, in terms of kind of understanding Daffy more and deciding to take a more of a back seat and letting Daffy kind of share that equal spotlight. So that's something I thought would have been interesting. But I mean, of course, I've never thought about it until now. And there are probably people who've never thought about that until now as well. So, I mean, that would have been something very interesting. And I feel like they kind of made up with that with Space Jam: A New Legacy. If y'all remember when I did my review on that, I talked about how Bugs Bunny had a character arc, a full out, fleshed out character arc that I thought was amazing. And Daffy's character arc in this movie, I think, is amazing as well. I would love to see one where they get a movie together and they both have an equal arc together that, you know, fleshes out and evolves and changes the character. I mean, there's not too much change you can do with the Loonies anyway, but just something interesting like that. This movie, like I said, it's not anything like super big. It does use the traditional animation because back in 2003 we didn't have the CGI that can look like traditional hand drawn animation. We didn't have that, so all these Looney Tunes are drawn, hand drawn and animated and inserted into the film. And while it doesn't work as well as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it does work pretty damn good. Like for them to be interacting with the things they interact with, especially with the human characters and things like that. Some of it does admittedly look a little clunky, but a lot of it looks like, wow, like this is believable. They're really actually there. Like this is, so they do really good effects work on that. The jokes are good. Getting older, there are some jokes that I'm like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't as funny as it used to be. And there are some jokes that I just caught. Matter of fact, I just caught one joke last night when I watched it. I was like, holy crap, I did not ever catch that joke. That was so funny. And so there's something to catch there every now and then, but I think the real humor kind of relies on how much of a fan you are of the Looney Tunes, right? How much tolerance you have for the Looney Tunes. Not a lot of people have like big tolerance for the Looney Tunes. They get like the 7-minute shorts are enough for most people, So the story, I like the story. The plot is good. I mean, it's not perfect, right? It's not perfect. We can admit that while the plot is not perfect, while the story is not perfect, it is still, again, a damn good Looney Tunes film. So some of the things that stuck out to me, I think I've already named them all. Really, just like the animation. I love the performances in here. Honestly, like Steve Martin's performance, as the head of Acme, and then you have some of the board members in Acme. Ron Perlman makes a cameo appearance in here. Ron Perlman, he played Hellboy the first time around. I loved all that, like in the Acme Corporation, the evil Acme Corporation, and the name tags in front of each of the board members. They say like really ridiculous names, like VP Never Learning, VP Rhetorical Questions, things like that. And there are sight gags like that. I explained to my daughter, it was so weird. I explained to my daughter, I was like, yo, sight gags. I was like, look in the background. They call those things sight gags. And you have to look at them because you don't draw attention to them all the time, but you kind of see them there. Another big moment that I liked in the film too, they had a cameo from Matthew Lillard, who played Shaggy in the live action Scooby-Doo movies. he made a cameo with not just him as Matthew Lillard himself, but with the late great original voice actor for Shaggy. I want to say his whole Casey Kasem, and you had Frank Welker. I probably just said his name wrong. I'm so sorry. Who voices Scooby Doo? You had those voice actors, so it was really that was a really cool moment. With Shaggy criticizing Matthew Lillard for his performance and Scooby threatening him. That was such a cool moment as a kid to see that. Kind of just like blew my mind. Like I was like, wow, whoa, 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 whoa! Like this is crazy. It's insane. Um, Another thing that stood out to me in this movie that I really did like about it was just again just the amount of Looney Tune characters that show up at some point in the movie. They may not all have like you can't have everyone be relevant to the plot, of course, but just the amount that they were able to put in, you know what I'm saying, and just have an effect on the story. Like it was just and just seeing some of them in their classic gags and things like that. I really love the art museum segment of the film where Bugs and Daffy are running from Elmer and they're going from painting to painting to painting, and then at the end they end up foiling Elmer and stuff like that. I love that scene right there. But my favorite part of this movie, and I didn't realize how much I loved this movie until I watched it again last night, was the Duck Dodgers part, where Daffy he turns into the Duck Dodgers alter ego and he puts on the jetpack, and every time he says Duck Dodgers to the rescue, the jetpack blows up. And I thought that was hilarious. And to me, that's the most cinematic moment of the film. For some reason, it's just always, I guess just because it always stuck to me, because that was my big laugh out loud moment when I saw the film as a kid in the theaters, and every time I watched it on DVD, and even when I watched it yesterday, I'm like, this is the big standout moment to me. It just feels so cinematic. It looks so cinematic. It's that moment to me. And I'm pretty sure to a few other people, it's probably that moment. But for me, it's definitely that moment. So by the end of the film, you do find out that the whole entire adventure was a ruse, so to speak, which I don't really know how that part works, but the whole thing was a ruse. Bugs actually ended up getting Daffy into the film. But and my second favorite part, before I go ahead and wrap this up, is really where at the end Daffy is like, wow, my luck's changing already, because he like dodges something that's gonna fall, like a light that falls and is gonna obviously crush him. And he's just he's feeling like his luck turns around. He keeps going, and of course something smashes down on him, knocks him out cold. And of course you get the Porky Pig and the whole little Looney Tunes orange circle doing his stuttering for the that's all folks, and he just stutters for so long everyone just turns off the lights on and say, all right, good night, Porky, see you tomorrow. And it was just so funny to me. I love that moment in the film. There are countless other jokes in there, but of course they don't stand out to me as much as those two moments there. If there's anything that I didn't like, I can say now and probably back then, but more so now, I can say that there's something about, because this is a Daffy centric film. But I wish at the time I was okay with it, but now I kind of wish, like, wow, I wish Buzz could have gotten a little bit more of those moments to shine. Which, again, when you watch Space Jam: A New Legacy, is like maybe somebody like-minded probably saw that and was like, well, put more Bugs in here. It's Bugs Bunny. And so kind of my problem with Space Jam: A New Legacy in terms of the Looney Tunes is kind of the same problem I have with this movie with the Looney Tunes, just like in reverse. Where in Space Jam: A New Legacy, I wish there was more Daffy and Bugs interaction, but more Daffy lines. Here in Looney Tunes Back in Action, I wish there was more Bugs. You know what I'm saying? I wish there was a little bit more Bugs and a little, something, a little more with him, a little more with that character. So, but overall, I mean, I love this movie. If I were to rate it, I would give this movie, honestly, I give this movie about, for as much as I love it, and you guys are probably gonna be like, what? I give this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars, right? Like I said, it's great. It's great, and I love the hell out of this movie. But there are it's not something that like completely fully holds up today. It still does hold up pretty, like I said, for it to come out almost 20 years ago, it does hold up mighty well. But there's just, little tiny things here and there. I mean, some of these special effects are dated, and they were dated back then too, but they're even twice as dated now. The story could if you were to make this movie now, I would imagine that the story would be more comedic and that there would be a little bit more emphasis on the arcs, but definitely more emphasis on the gags. But the gags were great in here. It just feels natural. Then I tried to pump myself up in my head for a higher review, but it just feels natural to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So that's my review. It's not bad though. It's not bad. I still love this film to the death of me, and I would defend this film with every breath of my body as one of the only films that holds up to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yep. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. But before I go ahead and log off, let me tell y'all how much money this movie made at the box office, right? Because that's something I always tell you guys, right? How much money did this movie make? How much money? How much money? All right, so of a budget of $80 million, this movie sadly only made $68.5 million. And the critics were mixed on it, so it wasn't the success Warner Bros. Was looking forward to, which is why it took so long for this Looney Tunes renaissance to come around the way that it has. But we're here now. Let's be happy about this. Let's celebrate this. And hopefully every Looney Tunes project, especially Coyote versus Acme, which I'm highly looking forward to. I'm anticipating the hell out of that movie. When that movie comes out, hopefully it does well, and hopefully it launches all the Looney Tunes projects. And even if it doesn't do that well or as well as the studio wants it to, hopefully the studio just says, well, you know what? We're going to keep going full force. We're just going to throw Looney Tunes. We're going to make sure our stories are as tight as they can be so that we're going to hit a success. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to give up. So with that said, man, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in. I went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's all good. I love this film. I just want to come on here and share my love of this film with you guys and tell you what I think. I do encourage you guys to go check it out if you can. Looney Tunes Back in Action. It might still be on HBO Max right now, but if not, find a way to watch it if you can. But if not, it's fine. I get it. Not everyone loves the Looney Tunes the way I do. But until next time, guys, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button down below if you enjoyed this review. And I will be back very, very soon for a good bit of reviews on some good bits of movies and shows. But until that time comes, take it easy. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at BrickWall_live for Twitter, and at BrickWall Reviews on Instagram, and find us on Facebook. All right, that's all I got.